By the way, the reason I said that's a great line, I don't know how to make a revolution, is, well, that's true. I think everybody feels that. I think we are at the 100th anniversary of the Russian Revolution, and if you read Lenin's writings from 1917, he was making it up as he went along. I mean, his April theses were written largely as an exile. And then he shows up and he sees that the Soviets are robust, and then he said, all power to the Soviets, and then he saw that the others were taking power in the Soviets. He said, well, no more all power to the Soviets. You know, revolutions are conjunctural. And when we look at, say, the Arab Spring, it's a very instructive moment that you can't claim to take power unless you're strong enough. You know, if you are weak, you should not stake power, because the crushing defeat is too much for people to bear. The left has to be very judicious. I mean, the American left is in such miserable state. To imagine at any point now that you can make a claim to power is ridiculous. You know, we have to build our strength, build confidence among people, which means to arm people with understanding. That, I think, is a very crucial part of confidence. You know, you have to try to understand what's happening in the system, how it's operating, etc. The media is a brilliant manipulator of public consciousness. I mean, I occasionally watch a couple of the cable shows, and you know, it's amazing how euphemistic they are about everything. Just to take my countryman as an example, Fareed Zakaria. You know, Fareed Zakaria, after the financial crisis, wrote a book boosting the same policies. You know, here's a serial plagiarist who has a platform on mainstream TV, you know, just plugging the same policies without any shame, without actually having his editor, you know, Adam, when your editor says to you, listen, in chapter X, you've got all this stuff on, you know, how the global economy should function. You should maybe address the financial crisis at some point, answer for yourself. You know, no, you don't. You just pretend it didn't happen. And in fact, that's exactly how the entire political class behaved. We'll pretend it didn't happen. Jamie Dimon, you can go in front of a Senate committee and you can say, we're going to make a great economy again, and everybody claps. And they say, you people are heroes. You CEOs are heroes because you're also philanthropists. And therefore, you are the ones that, you know, we judge to be the people who we put on Time magazine cover, etc. So this obfuscation or euphemism, or maybe even just plain lying from people like Fareed, very smart guy, writes very well, doesn't make spelling mistakes, unlike the president, but yet is, I think, very deceitful in the views put forward, or at least marginally dishonest. If you are wrong, you should account for why you are wrong. You should call account to your own audience and say, I was wrong on this. This is why. This is what I've learned from it. I would be much more interested. This is why perhaps Christian penitence is more impressive to me than neoliberal arrogance. Get on your knees and beg forgiveness of God. They've never had to beg forgiveness for anything. And this financial crisis wasn't the only one. 1873 crisis. Who, you know, came and said, I'm sorry for what I did to create the collapse of value in 1873 that led to the 1877 railroad strike. You know, where were the penitents then? The masters of the universe have never to be called to account. You know, let's switch gears to war. Today, one of the things I was talking about is how can you understand West Asia without the illegal American war on Iraq? How is it possible? How can Tony Blair be selected as the envoy of the West for the Israel-Palestine? I mean, how is it possible? How incredible, I mean, how stupid are we as a people that we accept that now George W. Bush is on Ellen selling a book of his portraits of American war wounded? This is a war criminal. You know, at what point does a country be called into account for an illegal war? Never. Therefore, you can go and destroy Libya. Nobody called you to account for Iraq, then destroy Libya. Then destroy the next one, then the next one. What difference does it make? Nobody's going to send you to the dock. The only people to go to the dock are Africans and Eastern Europeans. That's the world we live in. So calling to account, I think, should be the first order of moral business. I mean, the point of being alive and being a human being is not to want to be lied to. I was very impressed with the group, what is it called? Not Indignant, but whatever it is, who organized the town hall. Indivisible. Sorry, Indignant would have been better. Indivisible. Where people went in there and said, you're a liar. Called people to account. The first thing is you want them to answer for their crimes.